reporting from down under. I wasn't going to do another report, it seemed too early, but we're getting more and more news about really extreme warmth, heat conditions in the Arctic, so I just felt I had to have another go at this. So the first thing is these are the conditions at the moment, as of today, in the Arctic. So everywhere um, is hotter than usual. Right round here in northeastern Siberia, while it's cooler in western Siberia, Novaya Zemlya. It's also warmer in Greenland, cooler in Scandinavia, and then here, look at this, northern Canada. And of course, here you don't usually find this sort of colour kind of appearing in the temperature anomalies, because this is temperature, it's not sea surface temperature. So let's just go on from there. This is what the sea surface temperature measures at. So really, actually, what's important, I mean, who knows what's going to happen between now and September. I mean, we might even get cooler, cloudier conditions as we had before. But I think what the secret is what's happening, the melting from beneath. We need to look at these temperatures on the edge are pretty warm. And then right here on the western side of, so right around the edge of the Arctic Sea, we've got high surface temperatures. So that seems to indicate that whatever happens to the air temperatures, we're going to have continuing kind of destruction of ice from underneath. And the ice is already, as we know, in a very poor state. So it won't take much to erode it down to normal. And I guess as to whether we might have a blue sea event, that will probably depend on how warm it gets towards the end of the melt season. So these are the sea surface temperature anomalies right around the edge here. So it's indicative, but perhaps not that indicative. But especially around here, around the Bering Strait, I mean, no wonder everything has just disappeared. And then around, oh, that's Iceland. I get confused between Iceland and Svalbard when I look at these maps. So this is kind of how the sea ice extent looks at the moment. Yeah, so it hasn't really started sort of melting except around the edges, and I would say that that is happening far earlier than before. So we'll just have a look at that. This is the sea ice concentration. So already at the beginning of June, we're starting to get the concentration is being eroded, not just on the edges, but also further in here. You can see the lack of ice there. So this is really early to have kind of sea ice concentration kind of in this 30, 40, 50% region. The North Pole at the moment is at maximum concentration according to this. So let's just have a look. This is a general view of the Arctic. So it's really kind of what's happening around the edge in the Barents Sea, in the Bering Sea, and also in the Beaufort Sea, and on this area here, especially to the west of these of northern Canada, where the ice has completely disappeared. And I'm not quite sure where in all of this the Mackenzie River is. But anyway, that's a general view. So this is the sea ice thickness. So really, oh God, where's the thick ice? Right, this little bit in here, and just above Canada, where there's always been a lot of old ice or ice that sort of builds up. It's kind of at 2.5, 3 meters. At the South Pole, the North Pole, it's about 1.5 to 2 meters. And then right around the edges here, we're seeing 0.5 to 1 meter, as well as in Baffin Bay and this area to the east here of Canada. So I haven't actually done a comparison with last year, but it looks, for this time of year, it looks pretty insubstantial. Now, the temperatures, this is what really interests me. So we can only really judge from little bits of data and some photographs and reports to get an idea of what the actual situation is. So if Nullschool is to believed, it's only slightly below freezing level, minus 1.7 degrees Celsius. So that's at the South Pole. And then if we go to the Bering Sea here, sort of between Alaska and Siberia, it's about 7 degrees Celsius. That's that's getting pretty warm. And here, this is just between Iceland and Greenland. It's 8 degrees Celsius. And we've got a warm area here, so hopefully we'll get to that. I don't think I've included this from these representations from Nullschool. So this is another representation. I think this is from a European source. To me, it doesn't really say terribly much because well, that colour could be anywhere between minus 10 and 0, so it's slightly below 0. So it's perhaps a slightly optimistic picture. It doesn't really say that much to me. Now, then I went to NASA Worldview and got the temperatures. So this is, I think, from memory. See, I can't see where the cursor is, but I believe that this is the temperature. Oh God, I'm not quite sure where it is. So we'll go on. Yeah, so I think that was the North Pole, because it was about 260 degrees Kelvin, which translates into minus 13.5 degrees Celsius. Now, bear in mind that these are what NASA Worldview puts as sea ice temperatures. So this is not the air temperature. This is presumably the temperature just above the ice. I'm really not sure. But anyway, we can put this information together to provide a picture. And then we've got, and again, I can't see where the cursor is, but never mind. This is northern Siberia. Yeah, it's very hard to determine exactly where it is geographically, but the temperature there is about 273 degrees Kelvin, and that converts into minus 0.15 degrees Celsius. So all of that gives some idea of what the temperatures might be, and bear in mind this is sea ice temperature. That's how it's listed. So I just want to go on to a couple of things here. Sam Carana has come out with an article called "When Will We Die?" And he asked the question, and then he says what the most important thing is really to look at the increase in world average temperature. That will determine kind of what happens from now. So I suggest that article, and I'll put it in the description box below. And then finally, this was quite interesting. CNN don't do hardly anything on climate change, but they've done this, and there's a video that goes with this, which is very good, and they point out that, as they say, deep in the ocean, something is happening that scientists are still trying to fully understand. Well, I think they might actually understand it. The sea from the kind of Northern Atlantic and the Northern Pacific is mixing with the Arctic Ocean, and the whole thing is melting from below. So that's something that we can't actually see. So it's an indication, I think, that things are happening far faster than the mainstream ever thought. So, and this is just a view from CNN. It's worthwhile looking at their video. Apart from for the commentary, actually just for the views like this, that just shows exactly what is happening to the ice. So I'll leave it at that for now. This is Seymour Rocks reporting from Down Under.